This is the new American media.
All right, just say it. Just say it, Zach. Tell everybody that you were a Jason Campbell fan from the beginning. You knew that he was going to come in and throw 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and play some pretty solid football, right?
Oh, yeah, I hit that one right on the hammer.
Of course, we all did. We all did. No, I mean, we've been getting some surprisingly decent / pseudo-consistent play out of that character, and I'm really happy about it. I gotta say, I'm really happy.
You can bring in any quarterback in football. I'm at the point where I believe you can bring in any quarterback in football not named Brandon Weeden, and he'll have success with the Cleveland Browns.
Now, hold on, Zach. Brandon Weeden is an NFL quarterback. Are you going to sit here and rip on Brandon Weeden? He's an NFL quarterback.
He's the worst quarterback I've ever seen, looking at it this year. I mean, I'm looking at the Browns that have started Hoyer or Campbell all year. They're probably 6-3 football team, maybe even 7-2.
True shit.
I can tell you this right now. Maybe they would have lost against Green Bay or something, but I can tell you, they would be much better than this. And but like I said, it almost doesn't matter if the Browns take care of business this Sunday. They're going to be a half game out of the division, controlling their own destiny from here on in. Because the Jets, I believe, they're a game behind the Jets, and they face the Jets in December in New York. So just remember that one right there. The Browns, if they win this Sunday, control their own destiny for the NFL playoff hunt.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Looking across the league, I mean, we're tied with Baltimore 4-5, Tennessee 4-6. The AFC West is pretty tight, 9-0 with Kansas City, Denver 8-1. Chargers 4-5 as well, and then the Jets in Miami. I mean, we are right in the thick of a playoff hunt. Yeah, I know we're sub 500, but we're right there. We're not a division leader, but we're almost, because our division isn't that darn strong. If Cincy loses, that's a 6-5, and we're a 5-5. That half game, I like. Come on, especially if you beat them head to head twice. Do you like our chances this week? Do you think it's a good matchup?
I think. They dismantled Cincinnati, earlier in the season. I don't see why they can't do it again. Andy Dalton's been playing terrible the past 3 weeks. Or I don't know if it's last 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
Last 2 weeks. Yeah, he was great the third week ago, but then not so much lately. You're right.
Go ahead and just play good defense. I think they'll be fine. I think if they play good defense this week and control the football, and limit the turnovers, and I think that's what Jason Campbell's been doing best. I think the Browns have a really good shot at winning this Sunday.
Now, let's look a few weeks back. I think we talked right after the Trent Richardson trade. I mean, I have him on my fantasy league. I can tell you what he's doing and what he's
he's on my fantasy team too.
What did you get him in the first round?
Yeah, I think the 8th overall pick.
Yeah, I think I was the 7th or 6th. Yeah. So looking back on that trade, I guess the Browns front office kind of knew what they were doing. Or is it too early to say, as Edgerrin James is now mentoring him over at the Colts? Do you think it's all going to click for him and he'll have a solid career, or did we really sell high?
No, I think he's done. I think he'll get one more year in the NFL after this because he was a first rounder and Indianapolis gave up so much for him. I think he'll have one more year left. If he plays like this, he's out of the league. Unless he's using goal line situations only. He just isn't good. He's no good.
So, I mean, even a late first-round pick is a super steal for us to hit reset and try again.
Oh, I think completely at this point. I've doubted the Browns front office from day one. I've doubted the Browns front office from day one. And every move they've made so far, I've questioned, and I've been wrong almost every time. So, it's probably because Mike Lombardi screwed up in the mid-'90s. Grossi hated him. But he has... I have to say, he and Banner have done a good job. It seems, they've hit on just about every free agent signing. Kruger's been good. Desmond Bryant's been fantastic. Even a guy like Armani Bryant in the 7th round. I was at that Ravens game a couple weeks ago, and wow. Wow. Armani Bryant, I heard his name all day. He was a force.
And you know what? Another move that they didn't make, Josh Gordon kept him. And... I think he had a bit of a chemistry thing with Weeden / Hoyer that he's still got to figure out with Jason Campbell. But I don't know. This team is fighting. I kind of like the fight in them. We could have won that Baltimore game earlier. It's kind of a gutsy
but
team.
At least they redeemed themselves and they won a week later. And I love. I think this is the first great head coach. I know they're only 4-5.
Whoa, did I hear
think Rob
great?
Kaczynski will be a coach in Cleveland for a long, long time. His aggressiveness is how you win football games. The Browns he almost reminds me of a young Bill Cowher in the fact that, I know the Browns can't run the ball, but and the fact that they play good defense and he's an aggressive coach. I just love his style. I love his style, and I have to give him kudos on that. Everything he's done. It's almost like he's playing in a video game. But they've gone for it on more fourth downs, and here's the thing: is Pat Shurmur got out coached. Rob Chudzinski's not afraid to take a chance, and that's the one thing. They convert on every fake punt. I think they've had 3 this year. And so they've looked incredibly impressive.
What was the quote?
I have no reason to doubt.
Didn't I see a quote somewhere that said, why are you going for it so much on fourth down? And you said something like, well, we have 4 downs, so why not use them? And I kind of like that. It reminds me of the Jim Tressel versus John Cooper with the Buckeyes. I always got the impression that John Cooper was playing not to lose, against Michigan State or against Michigan.
Like Tressel always played not to lose, too. I mean, that was one thing that got me about Tressel that I didn't like.
Well, in the Miami championship game, going for it with a fake, and I really felt like he was aggressively trying to win the game as opposed to, hold on, just don't sink, we can win. Like, that's not how you win. Yeah, you're right, Shud is aggressive.
That's right, Shud and Urban Meyer have a lot of similarities. The fact that they're both incredibly aggressive, they don't like to pump the football. I think Chud trusts his defense, but at the same time is, Flacco's engineered a lot of game-winning drives. Why do we even give him the chance? If he's going to start the ball at the 10-yard line or the 40, it's one pass play. The Browns, I was at that game, and I loved Chud's aggressiveness, even if they wouldn't have picked it up. I don't even second-guess any of his moves. People are always second-guessing Coach. You don't hear anybody ripping on Chudzinski on Twitter. Every move he's made has been beneficial to his team. Without him, I can't tell you how many wins they had this year. They wouldn't have beaten Minnesota. Their offensive game plan, too. Norv Turner's playing with the strength of the team. And I think they're playing really well right now, and this is especially coming from a team that's possibly playoff bound without a running game.
Yeah, the running game. They're saying Ogbenaya, they're going to give him some more work in the bye week.
Good. They should. Bobby Rainey had a big game in Tampa the other night, but, I think it's time to cut your losses with McGahee because he can't seem to move the ball at all.
No, he's not getting the job done by any stretch. But the team has some stuff going for him, and it's nice halfway through not to already be. Look, we're not talking Teddy Bridgewater at this point. We're not talking about the draft. I like that. I don't want to talk about the draft. I don't care about the draft. The draft gets us Trent Richardson.
It's very refreshing thinking that 10 weeks into the season, we're not talking about the NFL draft right now. You don't hear people calling in people do call in on the radio and say stupid stuff. That's why, people say it all the time. That's why I tend not to listen to it. But, that's the one thing is, normally at this time of year, we're talking about getting a quarterback and then they win their last 4 games of the year. It seems to happen every year in Cleveland where they're 1-8, 1-9, and then they seem to win 3 out of their last 4. Something happens, they blow their shot at a legitimate quarterback. But I think this team finally has so much talent on both sides of the football that they're stacked with picks, tons of cap room. You have an energetic fan base who's getting back into it, and now you see it. This is the first time Cleveland really had their chance to make their mark, and and I love how Pittsburgh fans are saying, now we stink. Their stadium was 60% full last week. It was a joke. I can only imagine what they'd be like losing 14 years in a row.
Oh, I can't wait till we get to fill up. Maybe we get some orange terrible towels and fill up their stadium like they do to ours. I've been to some of those games. It is embarrassing.
I hope to be at that final game of the year I was going to say something else, but Pittsburgh, I'll call it. I just realized it was on the radio.
Spittsburgh.
I think you know what I was going to say.
Absolutely. I say it the other way all the time. Go ahead.
That's how I always refer to them. But it's at that point where I'm looking at it and I say, I just left Boston this afternoon. I was there for a couple days for work, and I'm going to be back in 3 weeks, especially if the Browns win tomorrow for that Browns-Patriots game. I'm going to make sure I'm there.
Very nice. Hey, then what's your prediction for the game against the Bengals?
I hate making predictions. I don't like doing it because I feel like I always jinx it, so I'm not going to do it once again. I would prefer you not do it either.
Oh, you don't want me to do it? I like this. You're telling the host what he can and can't do. And you know what?
I remember last time you did it. I think it was against Green Bay. It was the win you predicted against Green Bay, and I said I'm not even going there. I thought they were going to get killed, and I was right.
No, yeah, okay.
This one, I want to say they're going to win this game. I really do.
Well, then don't say it.
I think it's a highly winnable football game.
But you're not allowed to say. I like it. I am not going to make a prediction, and we'll touch base, and we'll remember that this is the game neither of us made predictions, and you made sure that I didn't. Last point I wanted to make. Did you catch this ESPN story that the Browns got their title trophy from 1946 back? They found it in the garage.
I saw that. Actually, I was reading on Twitter this morning. I've had literally the busiest week. The busiest last few days, like not getting a lot of sleep, just for work.
Yeah.
So, and then just being out with, a couple friends from California out in Boston. So it was nice. It was a nice chance to get to see some old friends, especially a girl I, used to date. So it was nice to finally be, it was finally back to be, finally nice to be back. And, I didn't have a chance to, check Twitter that much this weekend. I really didn't. So, I didn't watch any TV. I did 5 minutes of it, but it was just like,
well,
this is one of the few weekends I haven't caught up on anything.
This was the Otto Graham 1946.
Yeah, I think it was 47 or 48. Maybe it'll turn around the franchise. They have their one championship trophy to show for it now. The new stadium. Hopefully Cleveland Brown Stadium. The funding all works out because it has a chance to be a great new stadium. Yeah,
they're going to be adding a huge scoreboard, killing 3,000 seats, and really kind of upgrading things. Like, how do you upgrade it? It was just built 15 years ago, but. Apparently they're going to find a way.
Don't forget they cut costs in '99 big time. They cut major amounts of costs back in 1999 when they built that stadium. I mean, don't forget the original design was for, I think, 77,000 people, and they cut it down to 73. They cut it. They definitely sized it down. It was originally actually supposed to be closer to 80. Then they had to size it down, and they made cutbacks. And and Randy Lerner and Al Lerner pumped in no money into that stadium over the last 14 years. I'm talking minor renovations. Yeah. I mean, they still have a black and white scoreboard. The black and white sport, it's still black and orange. It's like a high school scoreboard part of it. They have a non-high definition actual video board. It's about time. I mean, the Indians have had one since 2007 or 2000, maybe even earlier than that.
Yeah, and you know what? You see what Jerry Jones does down in Dallas, and it's kind of like every other owner has to step up their game. But
you knew the Browns were going to do something big when they brought in Alex Scheiner. Alex Scheiner is a big name. He's the one who basically got all the funding for the stadium in Dallas and put that whole act together down there. You knew he was going to do. You knew Haslam was doing something big when he brought him to Cleveland.
Well, I'll tell you what. I certainly like the omen of finding this championship trophy from 1946 found in the garage of a minority owner. And I'm looking at here's a Browns championship just found in somebody's garage. How cool is that? Maybe that's a good omen for things to come. So I'm not going to make a prediction per your request. And I'll tell you what, if this method works, I might be done with predictions forever. Maybe the Browns win the rest of our games and bring home a Super Bowl this year. That sounds likely, doesn't it? I'm going to go for it. I'm not making any more predictions as long as we keep winning. So I'll tell you what, man. I appreciate you coming in, although it does freak me out to hear you say that it's time to hit the panic button on the Cavs.
I'm admitting I'm wrong. I hope to God I'm wrong on the Cavs.
Hang on. Wait, Zach, we lost you for a sec. You hope you say that again?
I said I hope to God that my preseason prediction was right about the Cavs, but, I don't think it is, and I think now, like I said, I hope I'm wrong right now saying that they're that they have to hit the panic button. I know it's early, and I know the East isn't necessarily that great. But at the same time, when you're playing basketball like this and you cannot win on the road, you're losing to bad teams. I'm talking really bad teams. I'm talking the bottom of the NBA, bottom of the barrel teams. Something needs to be done. There needs to be a change, whether it's a trade, whether, they need to do something. Sometimes, look at Sacramento. All that young talent doesn't always piece well together. Sometimes you need to add veterans to the mix. And I think that's what Cleveland needs to do. Adding Jack and Bynum were great, but at the same time, maybe take another. Maybe even a guy like Evan Turner will be available in the coming weeks in Philadelphia if they keep trying to tank. Evan Turner will become readily available. Maybe for a guy like Deion Waiters in another piece, pull the trigger on that deal. And Evan Turner's having a career that might be what the Cavaliers need.
Interesting.
I'm not saying Evan Turner necessarily. I'm saying he comes from a team. He fills a position. He fills a hole that the Cavaliers could definitely use. He can play the 2 or the 3, and he's having a career year. That might be a time where you go and pull the trigger.
Well, now you got me interested in the trade talks. Good for you. Good for you. Good for all of us. Because, they're only 9 games in, but 3-6 is not the way you wanted to start, especially when you had quite a few winnable games on that roster or on the schedule.
And I can tell you right now that Philadelphia does not want to keep winning basketball games.
They're sitting at 5-4 saying, no. No, we want the Wiggins. We want Wiggins in the lottery. But then again, with the lottery, you never know sometimes. But
I think this year, from what I saw the other night in Chicago, with 68 NBA.
hang on, say it again.
I have to say, seeing that game, seeing those guys live, I have to say that seeing that, Wiggins is going to be a star in the NBA. He's just young. His body's not completely built. Jabari Parker looks like an absolute superstar so far. I mean, he has one of the most polished strokes I've ever seen. And, I'm trying to think who else. I'm sorry. And Julius Randle in Kentucky looks dominant too. And, I think the Harrison twins both need some work on their game. But, we're getting to that point where, there's a lot of, this is probably the most talented college basketball has been, and maybe forever.
So if the Cavs are going to be lousy and start 3-6, maybe this is a year to do it and grab another piece. I don't know, but you said it's going to hurt us in the LeBron lottery. What do we root for? Are we rooting for losses right now, or are we rooting for wins, Zach?
We're rooting for wins.
All right. Well, tell me when I need to start rooting for losses. And until then, I'm going to keep rooting for wins in the playoffs. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, hey, Zach, thanks for joining us again. We'll do this again soon. I appreciate your time. And, hey, real quick, you going to end up out here for a Laker-Cavs game or a Clipper-Cavs game by chance?
Maybe Clippers or Lakers against a different team, but yes, there's a decent chance I'll wind up out there soon.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've only been coming on the show for 2 years. We need to take in one of these games one of these years. That sound like a possibility?
Sounds like a definite possibility.
All right. Well, hey, good luck with everything that's going on. I know things have been going well for you. You've been busy running yourself ragged. So if you get the chance, try to get a little bit of relaxation in this weekend. And as always, appreciate you joining us here on the Unhappy
Hour. I fully plan on it.
All right, man. Go Buckeyes, go Browns, and I'll talk to you in a few. Go Cavs. Peace.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Take care. All right. That was Zak Baris, everybody. Always a good time bringing Zach onto the program. Is it time to start getting worried about the Cleveland Cavaliers? Well, Zach says yes. And if Zach says jump, you better ask how high, Zach. Some people listening to his preseason prediction might say, how high were you, Zach? What is this, going to be a 6 seed? I forget what he exactly said, but definitely call them playoffs. Playoffs? We'll see how it all plays out. Yeah, I can't root for losses and lottery picks. I don't know, it's just not really in my nature. I know you got to tank from time to time, but the Cavs already did that. We're past the rebuilding stage, so let's see what happens. Zach is definitely foreshadowing that they're gonna be pulling the trigger on some trades. Definitely got to make something more than this happen, because this ain't gonna cut it. More of the same is just not gonna work. So we'll see how it all plays out. I want to say a special thanks to my uncle and author of Eternal Flame, Brian Engelman, coming on our Agree to Disagree program talking about the 50th anniversary of the JFK assassination. Check out that show. We're going to post all these in both places, all 4 places. So please check them out at thenewamericanmedia.com, our homepage. Check it out on Facebook by searching The New American Media with spaces in between and liking our page. Follow us on Twitter at American_media_. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/The New American Media. So that way you can check it all out after the fact. After our show is done being live, we're going to post it for everybody with our Cavs section, our Ohio State section, and our Cleveland Browns section for the Unhappy Hour. And then you can check out the other show about the JFK assassination. Man, next week it's going to be 50 years. It's hard to believe. Some things change, some things stay the same. Corruption and conspiracies and lies and murder and mayhem. Go figure. But check out that show. We're going to post that. That one is for Agree to Disagree. So, anyway, getting ready for the weekend. Go Buckeyes tomorrow. Go Browns against the Bengals. It's going to be a huge game. Let's see if the Cavs can get things turned around in this young season. My name is Brian Engelman. I appreciate each and every one of y'all joining us. Yes, I said y'all. In honor of JFK being in Dallas-Fort Worth, y'all. Anyway, thank you so much. Be talking to you again soon. Take care. Peace.
You are listening to the New American Media.